In a previous video about the Earth revolving around the Sun, I think some people got a little bit confused that I was trying to redo our scientific model of the universe, which isn't at all what I was trying to do. I was just trying to talk about relativity. And this is an incredibly important concept to talk about when it comes to omnism. So today I'm going to try and make it really simple. And instead of talking about stars and planets, I'm just going to talk about two objects. Since I don't have two spacemen to use, I'm going to use the first two things I could find. This is Mr. Bunny. He's a little tiny wooden bunny. And let's say that Mr. Bunny can breathe in space, because otherwise this wouldn't be a good example. It would just be animal cruelty. This, I have absolutely no idea what this is, but for our example we're going to call him Mr. Grumpy. And he kind of does look like a spaceman, so we'll just figure that he can breathe in space as well. Now, let's say for a moment we had this situation. We're far away from any stars, any planets, in just a complete void. And we have Mr. Grumpy sitting out here in outer space. As Mr. Grumpy watches, he sees Mr. Bunny floating towards him and continuing past. Now, Mr. Bunny. Mr. Bunny is sitting out in the middle of nowhere, out in the void, and he sees Mr. Grumpy floating towards him, and Mr. Grumpy floats past. This is actually the exact same situations, just told from their different perspectives. And the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand about motion is that when you and I generally talk about motion, like running down the street, or driving in a car, we're actually talking about our motion as it is relative to the Earth, because the Earth is our one constant. We're all running in comparison to it. So if I'm running towards another person, I can easily gauge whether they are running towards me or I am running towards them, because we have the Earth to use as a reference point. In this case, we don't. So what you have to understand is that while Mr. Bunny sees Mr. Grumpy floating towards him, and Mr. Grumpy sees Mr. Bunny floating towards him, they're actually both right. In fact, they could also both be moving and have the exact same experience, except of course appearing to move at half the speed. Let's say for the moment that one of them was moving at 10 miles per hour towards the other one. The other one could also see that the other one was moving 10 miles per hour towards them, or they could see themselves as moving towards each other at 5 miles an hour. Now, what you have to understand about this isn't just theoretical. This is actually true. All three of those states are true, because these two objects only move relative to each other. There's nothing around to use as a reference point. And even if there was, it really wouldn't be the point. We still only move relative to other objects. In fact, you could make this even more complicated if you wanted to. With this object moving towards this object at 10 miles an hour, one could be moving at 3 miles an hour, one could be moving at 7. We can even decide that Mr. Bunny, for instance, was moving backwards at 5 miles an hour, and Mr. Grumpy is moving forwards at 15 miles an hour. All of those cases would be correct. The only constant, as far as we know in the universe, is light, which accelerates away from all of us at the speed of light, regardless of how we're moving, which is a really interesting thing about light. And I'm not going to try and get into that too much right now. Just talk about relativity. What's so important about this concept is that in realizing that all three, or actually the infinite number of possibilities, different ways of looking at these two objects moving towards each other, in realizing that they are all actually correct and all actually true, this can give us a little bit of insight into how Omnism sees the universe. Just something to think about. Mr. Bunny, Mr. Grumpy, and I'm the Urban Omnist. Thank you guys for watching. And guys, please don't forget to support us as much as possible by clicking subscribe, liking us on Facebook and Twitter, and please, 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 please send me those questions right at this address. Thank you very much. Again, I'm